Hello, friends. Welcome. I am so glad that you're here today. I hope wherever you are, you're having a fantastic day. I've got to be honest, here in Texas, it's like someone has taken a dull gray coloring crayon and just colored a dull gray over everything. So my craft room is a little bit dark today. I'm not getting any ambient sunlight from the windows, but we're going to be working with some happy colors. So we're going to forget that it's so gray and rainy and dreary outside and just enjoy being in the craft room. So I've made a kind of a unique project today. I was playing around with different color palettes and I really wanted to make something different, something with a different look out of my products just to stretch them and see what I could do. So I really like how it turned out. So let's change the camera view and take a look at it. All right, so here is my very modern take on a circle card and using some of the fun products that many of us have in our stash. I'm pretty sure most of these products are still available, but let's jump right into it. I hope that you're liking it. I posted a picture this morning and several of you commented, so thank you or gave a thumbs up. And so hopefully you'll enjoy making this. All right, so for the products that I did use some of the rosehip stamens, and I also used, I believe these are the medium bright stamens, and I used some of those as well. I used the Sweet Magnolia die set only. Oh, I ended up not using the fragrant hyacinth. I made some of them, but then I didn't use it. I used the Dahlia die. I used the Just For You sentiments. I used the rounded sunlight window and the rounded scallop window. Then I also used two of our molds. So I used the Dahlia mold and I used the Magnolia mold. All right, so to get started, let's go ahead and make our card base. And I used all black paper today to make my pieces. But this would still be pretty in to use white or another color if you wanted to. Let's see here, I've got it all. So I used my largest circle that came out of the rounded sunlight window to cut a card base. We've got that. Then I used this same piece to cut this. And the way I did that is, of course, I used this piece. And then from the rounded scalloped window, I pulled out this piece. So to die cut that, I ran it through my machine just like this. And that gave me this nice piece right here. All right, then to get my outer edge, I took this piece from the rounded sunlight window, and then I'm not 100% sure, but this is a 5.5-inch circle. So after I die cut the black piece, then I put this on the inside and cut my rim out. Now, if you don't have a 5.5-inch circle, you could use the largest of the circle dies that Heartfelt has. Let me see here what the largest one would be. This one's 3.75, and I think that's probably one of the largest. Now, you wouldn't get the same lifted edge, but you would have the decoration. So that's an option for you if you don't happen to have a 5.5-inch circle in your stash. All right, then to cut these three pieces, I used the little outline die for this, and both of these sets have outline dies in them, so any of those would work. And I cut one, and I just used scrap paper. So this one actually comes from the Under the Sea collection, but I really wanted to just do some fun modern colors. So I went with orange and purple. You could definitely choose whatever color palette that you like. I am going to refresh my screens real quick to see if I can see your comments. There we go. Oh, there you go. Hi. I got Sylvia and Penny and Karen and Patricia. Hello. It's great to see all of you. I missed you last week. It was, there we go. Okay. So, and then I used this one from the Cascading Petals, but there's, of course, fun colors. I just chose a couple of the more solid looking pieces. So, again, you could even use a pattern. There's no right or wrong, right? So, and then those arches, I cut one out of black. I'm sorry, I didn't use the arch to cut this one. I used the little half piece from the die to cut these two, but for this one, I used that largest outer rim circle to get this. All right, I think, oh, and then the last one, I did cut another 5.5-inch circle to be on the inside. So I think that gives us all of those pieces. And this is just going to be my hinge hider. You could definitely cut a full sheet. I was just running out of my black paper, so that's why I cut just half of it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set those pieces aside. And out of my flower shaping paper, hello, Janet. I use the dahlia, the smaller of the dahlia dies. I use the smaller one. I use the largest of the magnolias. I cut one of my favorite dies out of black. Hello, Lucille. So the dahlia, I cut two, and this is all just out of flower shaping paper. I cut this die out twice, so that gave me 4 petals. And then my smallest dahlia leaf, I cut out 2 of those. And then out of the smaller of the magnolia leaf, I cut 3 of those. Okay, and then I ended up not using this one. That is the hyacinth die. I decided on my final design that I liked it better without those. All right, so this is all that I used. So tell me there in the chat, have you used your dies to make flowers without using the stamps? In the past, I've always used the stamps and I love that look, very Victorian. But since I was going for a more modern look, I decided to try making some of the flowers using just the dies. Let's set these aside here. So now we have to color these up. So move these out of the way. Okay, for my color palette today, I'm going to be using the buttercup and the sunflower. I'm going to be using the majestic violet and the cactus flower. Oh, you like the black background. So do I. I don't want to do it all the time, but I love every now and then just having a black background. It just kind of spices things up, makes it look different. For my leaves, I'm using 2 of my favorites, the emerald green and the vivid chartreuse. And then I did go ahead and pull out my bright tangelo. So let's begin here with our dahlias. And I'm going to start with the majestic violet. So I was thinking, and I think it was Jolinda who made like a cake with using the white flowers. She posted a picture of it there on the Facebook group, and she used the wild rose, I believe, and just the dies. And I had thought of it before, but had never really done it just because I have all the stamps. So anyway, there's a lot of the dies that are still left that don't have the coordinating stamps. They're already sold out. So I was thinking, there may be people out there that haven't got the flowers and they might think they can't make them because they can't get the stamps. And I'm here to show you, you absolutely can. It's a different look, but it is lovely and it's quite fun. All right, so the flower shaping paper, and I've got my triangle dauber, and I'm just going to make a circle, and I'm putting it on kind of heavy of the majestic violet, just like that. Do that to both of them. All right, now I have some really old daubers. This is one thing I need to invest in. I need to buy some more daubers before they're gone. Because my little I've used them so much and I flick the edges so much that they're starting to fall apart. Okay. So now that I have the dark purple on, I'm going to, well, sorry, majestic violet. I'm going to switch to the cactus flower. And for the cactus flower, I'm going to kind of support 3 of the petals and just flick out like this. I'm going to do that to these 3. And then turn it around and do the next 3. Now, I did find that supporting them, with the dahlia, it's not quite as important, but with some of the other flowers, it's good to support them there with your fingers so you don't tear them. All right. Do the same to this one. I don't have any of my flowers made in advance today, so you're going to get to see me do the whole process. So is it raining and dreary where you are today? Texas is like just the last, oops, see what I mean? It's easy to do that if you're not careful. Follow my own advice here. Okay. Me get all my little fuzzies off here from my, all right, now I'm going to switch back to the majestic violet and I'm going to come around and do just those tips. That's what tears up my daubers, but I don't care. I have to flick the tips. Penny, you're in New Zealand and it's rainy, but it is summertime. Well, that I am looking forward to at least spring. Maybe not summer already, but I am looking forward to spring. I heard the birds chirping this morning. I was like, oh, spring. All right, I think that makes us done with our purples for now. And I'm going to go ahead and turn, this is just a piece of scratch paper. Now we're going to bring in our magnolias. And in the same way, I'm going to start with my darker yellow, the sunflower. And really supporting my 2 petals here, I'm going to add some dark in the center. You know, when I use the stamp, I always do my coloring before I die cut them. So this was, you know, a little bit different than how I normally go about it, but it was very fun. I enjoyed making these. So again, just support that petal. And I'm just going to add this buttercup onto each petal. There we go. So I'm not sure if I mentioned it here or on one of my other videos that my daughter and I went and picked out wedding cake stuff the other day, and we had so much fun. And we're really making progress on all the planning. So again, I'm going to come back with the darker color and just do the tips. So if there's some of you out there that have kind of just discovered Heartfelt here in the later days here while they're selling out of things, and you thought, oh no, I can't get that one because the stamps are gone. I hope this video helps you see that you can make beautiful flowers with the dies alone. So there we go. All right, there we've got our magnolias ready. All right, so the last thing we're going to do here are the leaves. I'm going to start with my emerald green. Let's see. Hi, Lorna. Oh, she's getting kicked off the internet there on Facebook. Well, I'm glad we've got, we're going between YouTube and Facebook both. So I am not able to see the YouTube comments today. So those of you that are watching over on YouTube, I won't be able to see the comments until the video posts later. I didn't set up my screen for that today. So I'm just brushing this on, you know, putting heavier ink back towards the back and letting it get lighter as it goes out. And I am incapable of doing this without giving myself a green fingernail. So there we go. So there's my 2 dahlia leaves. And I'm going to leave those there because I think I'm going to add just a little bit of the vivid chartreuse in there with it. So next is my vivid chartreuse, which out here on the ends. Just going to mix those a bit. There. Okay. Set those aside. And now for these 3, I'm just going to go with the vivid chartreuse. Whoopsie. You can't be careful enough. There we go. Those will be tucked under my flowers, so that's not going to matter too much. Okay. Everything's all colored, and the next step is we are going to go ahead and run these through our molds. So I've got both of my molds here, and this is a step that I normally have done ahead of time, but today we're doing it all together. Oh, hi. Dana said she switched over to Facebook so she could talk to me. That is so sweet. I love interacting with all of you. I'm so glad that you tune in to watch. And I get lonely here in my craft room by myself. There we go. All right. I'm going to do the dahlia first. I'm going to put those in face down, and I am going to go ahead and stack them up and do 2 at once. And then same with the leaves. I'm going to put those face down as well. And there's 2 little wells for the leaves, so put that down just like that. There we go. That on there straight. The top plate. Okay. There we go. Oh, distress sprays. Yes. You know what? I did a video over on Whimsy Stamps where I used distress sprays for all of the die cuts. And I agree, that would be a great way to do flowers. I may have to give that a try. It's like, you know, I've splattered them before, but I've never distress sprayed them. So that is a really good idea. Because I loved the way my tree turned out. I used distress sprays for a tree. And boy, it was so vibrant and pretty. I really liked it. It's a great idea. Okay, let's go ahead and feed these in. Again, I'm going to double them up and put them face down. And the leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and put my small leaves in the large wells. I have found that it doesn't matter too awful much. And of course, you can still spritz these with water, kind of do all that. I'm not going to do that step here just for the sake of time, but that is a good thing to do to help them keep their shape. All right, here. There we go. Am I shaking the whole table while I do this? There we go. All right. Hey, Shauna, how are you? You are not late. We are just getting our flowers started. We did cut all of our bases, but you can go back and watch that. Okay, we're ready to make some flowers. And go ahead and grab my shaping mat and my stylus. I'm just gonna press in the center of each of these. Now I have a petal that looks like it's coming off, but that's no problem. We'll doctor him up in a moment. And the same with my dahlias, just gonna run that stylus around and get those to pop. Oh, you need one of the fold up. Yes, that, you know, that is a cuddle bug, the one that I use specifically for my molds. And the cuddle bugs are no longer sold. They are discontinued by, oh, was it Sizex that made them, or Spellbinders one? I don't remember. But you can often find the cuddle bugs like on eBay and things like that. Whoops. Got him a little crooked, but that's all right. Okay. Set him aside. Now I'm just layering these up, and I am using wet glue for this part. Yeah, you know, the Cuttlebug was one of those kind of very early on die cut machines, and boy, if you happen to have one, hold on to it. They're little workhorses. I use an electric machine for most of what I do, but when it comes to the mold, it's my favorite one for the mold. It just is so fast and easy. You don't have to mess around with different plates and things. It just is I use mine exclusively for the molds. I had to glue that one petal back in place. I'm gonna hold these together. I love the way combining those two purples and the way we colored it, how once it's shaped, it looks like the light is just hitting it right from the top. Isn't that pretty? Like I said, I love my stamps and dies together. I love the look they give, but doing these without the stamps, it just gave a different feel, and I have to say, I like it. So anyway, I hope you all do too. And it's a great thing if you're new to Heartfelt and you're not able to get the stamps, you know, go ahead and invest in those dies, because you can still make these gorgeous flowers. Don't think you've missed out on the fun just because you missed some of the dies, because we can still create these. Okay, let's go ahead, and I'm going to heat up my glue gun real quickly. Okay, hopefully I've got enough glue in there. While that's heating up, and I'm going to, let's see, use my golf tool here. This is the largest one, and I'm going to poke that hole there in the center. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push it pretty far up, because I'm going to put kind of this whole wad of stamens in the center. Because the dahlia has that nice big center, you got to put quite a bit of stamens in there to fill it up. So I want that hole to be big enough to feed all these in there. And one thing about this golf tool to do this function, because it gets so wide as it goes to the top, it's perfect for doing that. You know, this little one, it doesn't get wide enough to make that big of a hole. So it's where your golf tools come in very handy. All right, I'm just going to kind of get them all the same size here. Straighten them down. Trying anyway. There we go. Just kind of turning those to get them kind of all together down there. Now I'm going to feed them right into that hole I made. And hopefully I can get them all in there. Yeah. All right. Got one that's wanting to pull up. Okay, now that I've got them all in there, I'm going to take my hot glue and I'm just going to put a nice, if I can get it to come out. Put some dollops of hot glue right down there. Now hold it so that my hand's like this and just pull. See how that pulls the petals up around them? There we go. Oh, I love that. Isn't that fun? All right, I'm going to set that one aside for that hot glue to do its thing. And these are the rose hip stamens, and I'm going to pull out a couple of those. And this is kind of the bright purple ones. And I can't think of, regular flowers where I would necessarily use the bright purple ones. But on these modern take flowers, I thought they were just perfect. Really liked them. Hey, Clarabelle, it's nice to see you today. All right, again, just poke that through. See how when you poke out, it pulls up? Love the way they look like that. And this one you don't have to do nearly as wide as the other, of course. Go. When you're going through 2 layers, you got to really push. All right. Same thing. Just going to start that in. Add just a dollop of the hot glue and pull it tight. There we go. Isn't it fun? I love making flowers. I suppose we all do to some extent. That's what draws us to Heartfelt products, but it makes me so happy when they come together. There you go. I still got one petal that wants to fall off of there. May have to hot glue him back on. All right, I'm gonna lay that one aside to dry. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my hot glue gun off, even though we will need that again in a moment. Slide that over here out of the way. All right, now while our flowers are kind of just setting there and let that hot glue really get set, we're going to go ahead and glue together our card base. Okay. You love making the flowers too? Yes, isn't it just so rewarding? Some of the steps, I don't want to say tedious, but some of the steps in card making are not as my favorite as others. And for me, the flower making, I could do that all day long. Okay, so I've got all my pieces here. This one I'm going to set aside. This is my card base. This one I'm going to set aside. Go set aside my card base. This is the one we want to start with, okay? And I'm going to put the purple on the underneath side, just like that. So I'm going to turn it over and run my glue just right along the bottom and right around the edge, just kind of the same size as the die. And then I'm going to run some glue around these parts right here. And maybe just a tad. All right, now I'm just going to add my piece, making sure that it covers up all of the holes. Burnish that down, and there we go. Now, before I add this piece, I'm going to come in with my bright Tangelo, and I'm going to darken up the edges because this lays on top. I thought the edges needed some more definition, so just using that bright Tangelo to do that, putting a little heavier at the corners, or points, I should say. They're not really corners. So my husband's been messing with the thermostat again, and he's about ready to like burn me out of my craft room. It's like really hot in here. Oh. You'll think I'm working up a sweat. I'm not. But if he's listening to my video downstairs, turn that down. Here. There we go. All right, now we're just going to place this right on here and kind of, you know, I'm watching to kind of keep that center. A lot of this is going to be covered up by our flowers, but you know, you want to keep this kind of the same width that it would have been if we had cut out this, and kind of keeping the. Now for this decorative piece, I'm going to add that right on here. I felt like that this was just a little too wide and it looked unfinished to me. So I made this piece to just provide, you know, a decorative edge here that finished that off. That just looked unfinished to me. So you could make this a different color if you wanted to. You know, the Luxe Gold I think would look pretty with this, but I really, it was more the definition than, you can't see it all that much, but I thought it just finished that off. There we go. Okay, just like that. Now, this is how it's going to be on my card. So I'm going to turn it over just like this, and I'm going to put this piece right here. And that's pretty much my hinge hider, so that when I put it on the card, you're not going to see the stripe here. Hopefully that makes sense. You know, I cut a whole half piece, but you can see the hinge, it's just a little bitty piece. So you could easily just cut like a little strip, would work just fine. Good morning, Oma. All the excitement of crafting, get your temperature up. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Okay, so I'm going to add my glue to my card base. Oops, over there. And then I'm going to add this piece on just like that. Now do your best to keep this piece going straight down the middle. Did I get it crooked? Not too bad. Okay. Yeah, that's what you always have to watch. Your hinge right here, and whatever your center is, do your best to keep that straight so that it doesn't look all wonky. Now I'm going to go ahead and open it up. And I have cut this circle to go on the inside. And I believe I'm going to stamp mine later with the stamp that says, "Hope your day is as special as you are." I didn't pull that stamp, so I can't do it for you, but I've decided that that's what I want mine to say. All right. There we go. Now, before I add my flowers, I'm going to go ahead and we are going to heat emboss our title. So this is the Ranger Gold embossing powder. I have just dumped it in here to make it easier. I am going to use just a little bit of anti-static on the end here of my piece. And I have the sentiment that says, "For my friend," already stamped or already on a block. And I'm going to use some Versamark ink. Getting that good and inked up. I'm going to stamp that right down here on the far right of my banner that I've cut. Now I'm just going to cover that. All right. Okay. Got my heat tool right here, and very quickly I'll just melt that embossing powder. So sorry that you have to hear my heat tool. Hopefully it won't take that long. Magic of embossing powder. Okay, I'm going to let that cool. going to quickly clean off my, this is just a piece of kind of like a sponge that I use, and I keep it wet inside this little disc folder, like, you know, so that's what I use to clean my stamps. Okay, here we go. This is probably the hardest part of this whole card, is just cutting off all these stamens together. Just have to keep chopping there until they come off. There we go. Okay. Just such a big grouping of them that they were hard to come off. And now I'm just going to go ahead and cut these off. All right, we have all of our pieces ready to go. I'm going to turn my glue gun back on, and we are almost completed. So tell me there in the chat, what do you think of the flowers made with just the dies? You know what? I almost forgot a step. To give these kind of just a really cool look, I did use my crystal lacquer. And then on the tips of the purple flower, I came in with a little bit of lion's mane glitter, just to kind of bring in the gold. So before we go any further, we're going to go ahead and do those steps. Hopefully my bottle's not clogged. As these bottles get older, I find it clogs more and more. So I keep that pin right here for that purpose. I agree, Sylvia. The flowers are just as beautiful as usual. It's, you know, the shape of them. I used to think it was all in the stamps, but, you know, the shapes are perfect, and they just create beautiful flowers. Okay. I'm going to do, I probably should have left the stems on for this, but I forgot. I use my paintbrush. I'm just going to paint each of these petals so that it has a nice shine. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and get out my lion's mane. And for this one, before I put the glossy accent on all of them, I'm going to put the glossy accent just out here on the tips first. Okay, and now I'm just going to sprinkle it with my glitter. Okay, I think I got it all. All right, see that? I thought that gave it a really modern kind of vibe. Let's see, somebody's asking a question. Let's see. Hello, Jan. You tapped a pin. Oh, to the side of the bottle. You taped it to the side of the bottle. That's a good idea. Everybody's so clever. All right, now I'm just going to add the glossy accent here, just down here on these petals that are on the top, so that they have the same shine that the magnolias have. There we go. I'm going to pop this in a cup of water I have over here. Okay. We're ready to add our flowers. Oops. Okay. Okay, hold on one second. Oh, thank you, Karen. You know, when you start using it, glossy accent can be a little bit addictive. It's, once you add that shine, it's hard to go back. So, okay, I'm going to add a really large amount of hot glue there because that's a lot of stamens to get to stick. And I'm going to set it just to the right of center and get it right there. Go. And I will spread out these stamens after I get it all, once it cools on the card. Well, that's Shauna said she liked the tropical colors I used. You know, I didn't even think about these being tropical, but you're right, they do have a tropical feel. You know what kind of do you remember the old TV show Mod Squad? I'm serious. I was like a very little girl when Mod Squad was out. But if you like put into Pinterest or Google like mod colors and Mod Squad, some of these kind of oranges and greens and mustard greens and things like that start coming up, and the mustard yellows. And then I threw in purple because I liked these rose hip stamens, but that's kind of where I went for my color palette today because I just wanted something, you know, different. That's part of the creative process for me. I like just kind of seeing where I can go with it. And I think I've told you before, I have projects that end up in the trash. Sometimes I go for it and it doesn't go anywhere. But then a lot of times, you know, I go for it and I really like it. I keep messing with it till I like it. Okay. Let's slide that. And these I'm just kind of putting in there next to it. Let's see. There we go. I'm having to hold them just to, yeah, hippie colors. Exactly. You know, I'll tell you something else as I'm going here. I also, when I was looking this and it was all finished, this die right here to me looks very Art Deco. So I started thinking, everything that's a black, do it in silver. And then for my flowers, doing them in like a combination of like a blue and a teal, and then using kind of some of those really mossy greens. I don't know. I just thought I could really turn this into a very Art Deco looking card. So you may, if I end up doing that, I'll post it. Or if one of you want to give it a try. So now I'm just going to add my leaves in here. Whoops, get that in there a bit further. There we go. Now I'm just plugging in the leaves where they look nice. Getting lots of little strings today. There we go. And then this one right here. Okay. Now you may have noticed on my original here, I don't do this very often with Heartfelt, but I added some little gems at the points, and just to kind of balance out the two sides. This side felt a little heavy, but I thought the gems just added that interest to this side to kind of balance them out. So I just went to my stash and I had these little sticky backed gems. I don't know where they came from, but any brand, anything, any size, whatever you've got will work. And just right at the points of each of these little pieces, I added a gem. And mine are orange, but I think even if you had gold or, you know, whatever you've got will work fine. All right. Now, for the very last thing, I'm going to take my sentiment and add a little bit of curl here on this part. And then this part, I'm going to slide right between here so that you can see the tail of it. You can still read it, but you can see the tail. So that's how I'm going to put that in. So I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue right there on the part that curls down, and then a little bit of hot glue on this end. And then slide it right back in there and kind of hold it. Whoops, that was hot. There we go. I'm going to hold it for a second just so it'll kind of keep that curl. And there we go. All done. I love how these turn out. I'm just going to spread my stamens a little bit here. There we go. There we go. Our two very modern Mod Squad looking cards, or tropical, or whatever vibe it gives you. It can be that. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me and crafting. I really look forward to crafting with all of you. And this month is a free paper pad that we're almost about to February. So before we know it, that'll be switching. So we've got a few more days left where if you spend $100 on the website, you can get a free paper pad. And if you've been kind of shying away from some of the flowers because you can't get the stamps anymore, I encourage you to go ahead. If you don't have those flowers, go ahead and get the dies. And you're going to find that you're going to love the look that you get, even if you don't have the stamps. So, all right. Thanks so much for joining me. And I look forward to crafting with you again next week. Have a great day. Bye.